obviously inquiring minds want to know. I'm going to pick your brain a little bit. I don't want to have you engage in a war of words. Give me some of your thoughts on some of the comments that were made at aggression. You know, we're pretty comfortable right now. I'm not going to try and put you on the spot, but just give me some of your thoughts, man, and obviously watch the video.
Yeah, sure. I think I think Lee Meehan was well spoken, and I think he made a lot of good points. I think the one that I thought was the best was that it's not about wrestling. It's about MMA, and what we need to do as coaches. I'm not a coach, but what the Alberta coaches need to do as a community is they need to be making sure that they're incorporating the best of different styles into all of their fighters so that they're learning the techniques that they need to be successful. One of the most important things that I see, and I'm clearly an outsider, I'm a wrestler, I've never fought in the cage, but I have done some grappling, and I am from a combat sport background, and what I can tell you from my combat sport background and from talking to everybody else in MMA is that a fighter will likely be most successful if they get to dictate where they fight. MMA is so broad. I can do jits from the ground. I can do jits from the top. I can, have a Muay Thai kind of kickboxing, stay far away fight. I can have a boxing sort of close in.
Slug and brawl too,
right. I can do a Randy
Chris Lieben style.
I can do a Randy Couture, dirty boxing.
Clinic.
Put a guy up against the fence and never let him move. I can do, the rules right now basically say that if I take a guy down and ground and pound him for 3 rounds in a row, I'm going to win. And so I think each fighter and each coach needs to figure out what's the best advantage for their athlete against their opponent.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to opinion. And between camps and between trainers and between every fighter, everybody's going to have a different opinion.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, I don't give a shit where people want to fight. My comment was and is that unless we can prevent a takedown, accomplish a takedown, and hold someone down once we take them down, we really can't effectively control where the fight is. And those skills are lacking among virtually every MMA person right now in the world. I see those skills lacking in most of the UFC guys. And I come at things from a wrestling eye. If someone were to watch MMA people strike, they'd probably go, well, the hook's not right, or the jab's not right, or, I can guarantee you that if someone puts a triangle on in the UFC, most of the black belt BJJ guys are going, well, it wasn't quite right. And so from a wrestling perspective...
There's always a lot of fine-tuning to be done, right?
Absolutely. But from a wrestling perspective, I can see things and I can feel things that I know would work with guys in the cage. And I think, regardless if it's me pointing them out or someone else that has a background in what I'm talking, in basically mat dominance, cage dominance, our Alberta fighters and coaches need to be working with those guys. And, I said we'd do better as a province if we didn't strike and we didn't do jits for a year. And I still stand by that. I think that there are many guys that have pretty decent stand-up skills and pretty decent jits skills, but they don't understand how to stop a takedown, do a takedown, or hold a guy down. And I don't care if it's wrestling or some other form of martial art, we got to learn it. I know that I've learned stuff in wrestling that helps me do it. Right?
So out of curiosity, if without beating around the bush too much and just to be blunt and kind of be frank, Lee had mentioned that in an MMA fight, you guys, if you were to match up, he thinks that you probably wouldn't stand much of a chance. Now, he also went on further to say that he wouldn't want to wrestle with you, but if he did, that he may be able to dominate you in a wrestling match. So just out of my own mind and in my own opinion, what if we were to set something up, okay, for a charity event? Because I know that you're involved in charity here in Calgary and in Alberta already. What if you guys were to have like a wrestling match and use the leverage that you guys have as promoters, as trainers, in the community and being actively involved? What if you guys were to have a wrestling match? Do you think that's something that we could maybe make happen?
That's a very interesting concept. I think I have no idea how to strike. I've sort of hit a bag 5 times. I think I can almost do a jab. My left wrist is basically busted. I can't bend it. I can't throw a punch with it. Would he beat me standing up? Yeah, probably. I've never done it before, and I think he's a professional fighter, and he's had a lot of fights, and
his experience is there.
Right, and I'm guessing that if you polled 9 out of 10 coaches and said, on one hand you got a 40-year-old lawyer who's never fought, and on the other hand you've got a professional fighter that's been doing it forever, let's have a match with them, this guy's coach would probably never take that fight. And I'm not sure I have any interest in getting my face pounded in or getting kicked or whatever.
I'm not saying in an MMA fight, but Lee also went on to say that in a wrestling
match. He can beat me wrestling. You know what? I don't even want to get in a war of words. I'd love to train with the guy, and if we can do it for charity, all good. I'm pretty confident in my wrestling ability. There aren't too many guys in Canada that can take me down. In terms of wrestling, the national team wrestler guys can't take me down. So, if Lee can take me down, all good. He's probably a great athlete, and I'd love to train with him, and I'm sure I'd learn a ton of stuff from rolling with him. And you know what?
Based on jiu-jitsu or based on wrestling?
Everything. I got to tell you.
Obviously, his striking is leaps and bounds above most
for sure.
people, and not even the sport as a whole. But if you were just to look at Calgary or Alberta or Lethbridge, he's a very fundamental guy. He's obviously very intelligent, and as you are, and you carry yourself very well too, without obviously name calling or being rude or being arrogant. So let's maybe try and put something together, man, because that as promoters, as guys that are involved in the industry, I think that's something that maybe people would like to see. And win, lose, or draw, I think it would just be good for the sport in its entirety.
Absolutely. I mean, I think some sort of a grappling competition would be great, because he's obviously done tons more jits than I have too. But, I've done a little bit of jits, and, I have a fundamental understanding of how I don't get caught in an armbar, don't get caught in a triangle anymore. We're going to absolutely ban leg locks, because I have no idea how to, do those. But I got to tell you, Karlin, I retired from wrestling, and I don't do that anymore. I go grapple, and it's so much fun, and I learn something from everybody.
We all do, right?
Everybody I train with, I learn something from, and I think one of the fundamental points I want to get across is that the more we train with diverse people, the more we learn.
Absolutely.
Diversity
leads to versatility, and versatility leads to all these other things that eventually are going to lead to success. Because the more that you're able to add components to your game from a wrestler or from a Muay Thai fighter or from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, that's really what the sport has come to show now at this stage, at the highest level. Obviously, the UFC is the prime example, that we're really starting to see the hybrid fighters, the George St. Pierre's, the John Jones, the guys now that are taking the top of the food chain and making them look almost subpar.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that in August we're looking at doing a FILA grappling championship here for the national qualifiers.
Really?
Cool. So we're going to get your input maybe on that, and maybe we can have you and Lee do a promotional thing, because I think that would be just good for the sport, for everybody.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we should talk to Lee and see what he wants to do. I mean, I don't have too much interest in a macho kind of, can I beat the shit out of you? What I'm talking about is an intellectual exercise. My last interview, intellectual exercise. Here's what I see. Here's what guys got to work on. Coaches who are making their living coaching people got to decide what they think is right, and take it for what it's worth. It's an opinion of some guy that's never fought in the cage, but you know what? I know a hell of a lot about body feel and takedown defense, and if you want to learn something from it, if you're an inquiring mind and you really want to learn, then come and train. You know what? Don't beat the shit out of me standing. Come and train. See if you can take me down. See if I can take you down. See if I can hold you down and learn something.
Well, you know what?
Or do it and figure out that I know nothing. But at least come try.
At the end of the day, man, all I can say is that I appreciate your time. You've got a great card put together here tonight. Great turnout, one of the best I've seen.
Thank you.
We'll get together again sometime in the future, and we'll talk about things, and we'll just have to go from here, man. Again, thank you. I appreciate it. Hard Knocks 11, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, MMA News Canada.